Can a man make mistakes? Is he eligible for redemption? Will it really hurt your spirit to make this one exception? If I did you wrong, am I wrong for doing you wrong? If we get back on and make a promise to get along, would you take me back? My bad, I'm back. Would you take me back? My bad, I'm back. Hopefully you'll take me back.
Hey, what's going on? This is the Big D. This is the Big D channel. We back in this thing today. Divorce News Daily segment here. It's a lot of fun doing these, and so we got some stuff to kind of cover today. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I don't know what's going on here in Rio, but it's hot. It's hotter than fish grease outside, so grateful for the air condition. I don't know why the videos with this iPhone is giving me background noise or this little white noise situation or whatever. I try to resolve it buying the lapel mic or whatever. I got the little lapel mic and all that stuff for the iPhone, and that didn't solve it either. So I don't know. It's something, people talking about it online or whatever, saying like the iPhone, when they record, it just has this noise behind it and they can't get rid of it. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's like it's such a hard thing already to do the videos already. And to crunch them down and all that stuff takes some hours or whatever. A 30-minute video takes me like 4 or 5 hours just to crunch on a computer just to get it to export. So, it's going to add another step for me if I add like noise reduction. I could put it in my system or whatever and noise reduce it or whatever, but I still got to get the audio out. There's no way to get the audio, it's a problem. It's a problem. So we're going to kind of keep doing the show. We're going to find a solution, though. We'll make the sound quality a little bit better for you guys. Hopefully we can do that for you. I'll find a solution. Well, let's jump right in here and see what kind of things we got going on today. I think we got some good things, some excellent kind of things to kind of discuss. So let's jump right in here and see what we got. Okay, this first one is going to come from Domo Roboto in the Divorce Men Reddit. Says, what to teach the next generation. So I think this is something that we haven't really covered yet, kind of like, what do you tell your kids? You know what I'm saying? What do you tell your kids? So he says, brothers, after your divorce, what do you teach your kids so that they may live or do better in their lifetime in terms of marriages or relationships? Big things, little things, doesn't matter. So this is kind of cool. This is something that a lot of people don't really talk about, right? It's like you got kids or whatever, and you obviously want your kids to live a better life than what you lived, right? So and you don't want them to go through the things that you went through. I think as parents, we almost overcompensate sometimes and say, hey, I went through this. I don't want you to go through that. And we almost don't even let them live their own life. But, there's some things that we could teach them, especially when it comes to divorce, relationships, and stuff like that. There's things that they may need to know, right? I had, when my daughter was dating somebody or he was talking about dating her, he actually did come talk to me or whatever. This is after my wife left or whatever. So I'm raising her. Well, not raising her. She's already pretty much an adult, at least legally an adult, just living in my house. And so I was just coaching her a little bit or whatever. The guy came, he talked to me, he was real respectful and all that stuff. He came and talked to me and everything, saying like, he kind of want to date her and stuff like that. And then I'm just questioning like some of the stuff that he's telling me, like, the last chick or whatever he was living with or whatever, and he cheated on her and all this other kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, I appreciate him being honest or whatever, but I just got a bad vibe. I didn't think that this was the guy. I'm like, I told my daughter, I was like, I don't know. So she was sneaking out, going to see him and all that kind of stuff. She like had her best friend, had a car and all that kind of stuff. And they were sneaking out to go see him and all that kind of stuff. And one day she came to me crying because the dude was going to get married to her best friend. So I told her, I said, she was like, you know what, you right. You was right. Which we don't hear that much as fathers. So, I had to like, in the moment, I had to kind of deal with the fact that she was upset. But at the same time, I'm like, see, I kind of had an intuition. I surprised myself I had intuition. So I didn't know if I was going to be right or not, but I surprised myself. But I was like, okay, maybe I do have some wisdom and stuff while, in my old age at what was I, 30 something, 38, 39. So yeah, you definitely want to, enlighten them and give them some information, right? So it's crazy because that best friend of my daughter actually passed away. She had cancer or whatever, so she really didn't have much time to live anyway when he married her or whatever. So I don't know what that was all about for him. But he married her, she passed away, and like a year later, he married my daughter. So what you gonna do? She didn't learn. So, and now I see him with pictures with another chick. So I'm like, is what it is. The leopard doesn't change its spots, but what can you do? All you can do is teach him and try to say, hey, this is what I see and this is what it looked like, and I don't think that's gonna be the one. But he says, I have 2 daughters. I want them to better understand men. One thing their mother did that was really infuriating to me was that she really didn't care for the tools that I used to keep the house and the car functioning. There's no respect for the tools, and they were constantly misplaced. I explained to my daughters that tools to men, or at least to me, are just as important as their closest stuffies. Tools are meaningful to me because they're an extension of who I am. They give me the productivity and quality of output that I want. They amount to careful research into tools, and the saving up of money to buy them is a journey. And to have the tools treated like meh and lost is upsetting to me. It was eye-opening for my daughters, and I'm happy they now understand. Okay, so this is cool. I kind of like the direction this kind of went in with this. It could have went a lot of directions, but this is kind of cool. He's a tools guy, right? He's probably an organized guy. He sounds like somebody who's probably organized. He recognizes like, okay, there's a tool for the job, so I'm going to research, get the right tool for the job, the best tool for the job, the one that's going to stick around for a while, and I'm going to buy that and make sure that we have it as a family so that when something goes down, I can fix it, and I got the tool to fix it. I mean, that's something that goes to a man's heart, right? A man wants to fix some things, and he wants to make sure things run quite well. So when he had his ex-wife around, she didn't see it the same way. She kind of looked at it and was like, oh, they're just whatever. This is just his stuff or whatever. And she probably leave him all over the place, push him off here, put him over there, put them out of place. I know I'm the kind of person, I'm very organized. It's like I like to put things in a certain place in my house, from my dishes to my keys to my cell phone. I put everything in its place because I like to have my house organized. I like to have things organized. It's not cluttered. I'm kind of minimalist in that way. I don't like clutter at all. So I don't like to leave things around. So I understand what it's like for him to be organized, want his stuff in certain places, because when push comes to shove and you got to get to it, you want to be able to get to it. I want the electric to be off and the lights to be out in the whole neighborhood or whatever. And I can go in the dark and find my keys that I'm looking for. I can go in the dark and find my cell phone. It's only going to be in like 2 places. So, and if it's not there, somebody messed with it. That's the way I move. Cause I'm like, I want to be in a position to be able to get my stuff, right? So he sounds like he's kind of the same cat. Like, the tools are meaningful to him. And so I think a lot of times, women don't recognize how meaningful something is to a man. They have this kind of thought process that nothing is important to a man because maybe the things that they're bringing to us are not, our top priority. Like, I know that, you like your pumps or whatever, but, I don't understand really why, you might select them when, last week you selected your wedges, what I'm saying? I don't know which ones go with shorts and which ones go with like, culottes or a mini skirt or whatever. I don't know. It's like, I just know they're your shoes or whatever, and I'm not supposed to mess with them. So, it's like, I'm not going to be the person that's going to be really super interested in that. I'm interested to the point where it's like, okay, this is your stuff. This is what you like. I kind of know what you like, but I'm not going to be so interested that I'm going to be organizing them and color coding them and all that kind of stuff for you in the closet. Like, that's just probably not going to happen. So I get it that women are not always keen to what tools might mean to a man or what things that we have might be important to us, right? So he's trying to instill that in his daughter. He's trying to teach them that, hey, your man is going to have things that are important to him. And when they're important to him, you respect those things. So that's kind of cool, right? So there's little things that can be taught for your daughters and even your sons too. Like how to talk to a woman, how to talk to your girlfriend, how to reason with her, how to use emotional intelligence, those types of things. Those are important things that we want to talk to our kids about. How to have an argument without it getting out of hand, how to let go and not hold grudges, things like that. There's lots of little things that we could probably teach our kids, right? But what are some of the things that you guys have taught your kids? Like, what have you maybe sat down and talked with them, or maybe just kind of showed them in the course of life? Like, hey, this is how you move in life. This is how you move. I'd be interested to hear, some of your stories and see what kind of things that you would talk about or whatever. If we get these comments and things on the videos, then I can come back on the videos and I can comment on it and we can kind of have dialogue, you know what I'm saying? And eventually do lives and stuff. So that's interesting. So, I get what he's saying or whatever. Maybe the next time around he's looking for a woman who's going to be a little more respectful of his tools. I'm sure that's going to come up in conversation while they dating. But for his daughters or whatever, I think this can kind of be a cool, that's a cool thing for them to understand. Like, men have things that are important too, even though it looks like we may not have a lot. We might have 3 pair of jeans and 2 pair of underwear that we wear for 10 years, whatever. But we cherish those things for a certain reason, and we move a certain way for a certain reason. And it's not that we don't care about ourselves or we don't care about things or our things. We just look at it a little differently. So that's something that maybe something that you might teach to your kids or your daughters. All right, let's move on to this one here. This is a real short one. This comes from JW619. He says, I had my first post-divorce hookup. So my man is happy right now. So he's like, she's awesome and we have a ton in common, but I've got this thing that tells me it's not real. How did you guys navigate your first relationship outside of your divorce? This is a good one, man. So congratulations, you got out there, did your thing or whatever. You were able to get to first base with a woman, have conversation with her, get to the point where you could be intimate with her or whatever. You think that she's a great woman or whatever, but now you're having doubts, right? It's all right to have some doubts. You're gonna have doubts, especially in the world that we live in right now. It ain't easy to be out here dating, and especially when you become physically intimate with a person or whatever, you're always gonna be second guessing kind of where they are, what they're doing, how they're really actually looking at you. If you're a person of some means, they're going to be looking at your bank account a little bit, or maybe they're looking at what you can do for them. If, you're taking them out to nice restaurants and stuff, how do you know you're just not the Instagram photo guy? You're the food guy in her phone or whatever. How you know that you're not that, right? You're never going to notice or whatever. I think that you just go with the flow. See what happens. If you have an intimacy with a person, all I can suggest is that you protect yourself from any future consequences. Like, you don't want to have a child with somebody who's, who you don't really know for sure, like what's going on. If you got doubts and stuff like that and you don't really know, right? Even if you're in a relationship with this person, you could be actually dating this person and it could still be a little bit rough, right? And rocky, because your mindset is like, you're kind of coming out of a place where you were married and obviously something went wrong there or whatever like that. And now you're in another relationship, so your mindset is still probably in a place of like, wow, something could go wrong here. You're awake to that now. So, you kind of understand it like, okay, everything ain't roses and whipped cream and strawberries. That ain't all that. There might be some issues that might arise at some point in time. Hey, thanks for checking out The Big D Show. I am The Big D, but I also go by Knock Real Beats, as I am a man of many talents. I'm a hip-hop artist, writer, producer. I do it all. So check out the link below in the description and check out some of the music. I think you're going to like it. I'm on all streaming platforms, Spotify, Amazon Music, Tidal, everywhere you want to be. Bandcamp. Support independent artists. I would suggest just taking it easy. Do your thing, see how it goes day to day, be the best person that you can be, and just watch for the red flags. Don't ignore the red flags when you see them. Address them with the person, and if they can't get that together and it's not going to work for you, then you move on or whatever. Don't feel like you have to be so attached to a person that you have to kind of lose yourself in it. Like he says, she's awesome or whatever, but at least he's got the mindset of like, maybe this might not be real. But then that could be you psychologically having some issues too. So you might want to work that out too. And you might be extrapolating your last relationship onto this person, and that's not fair to them either, right? So I would say, just try to, go with the flow of the relationship, address anything that comes up, anything that's important to you, address that. Don't let it linger and fester because you think she's awesome. Talk to her about it. If she fixes it, or she's mindful of it at least, and she's trying to accommodate you, that might be a good one. You might got a good one on your hands. But if she's adamant about not helping you, or not being accommodating to your needs as well as as much as you're being accommodating to her needs, then you might have to call it quits. I mean, it may not last. So Aggie Dan 1996 said, well, in my opinion, having a sexual relationship post-divorce is a bad idea. This is in response. He says, ideally, you'd wait until you got married again and be freaking picky as hell. I fell hard in my first relationship. Then I overcorrected by trying too hard to make things work. I couldn't bear the thought of failing again and looking like a fool again. Okay, so this is what I was talking about, extrapolating your past relationship onto your new relationship. And he's saying, like, he fell hard in this relationship, and then he's overcorrecting. He's overcompensating for what he feels is might have been his deficiencies or the things that were deficient in the relationship that he had previously. So it really depends on where your headspace is at. How level-headed are you at this point in time? How do you feel? Like I said, if you're extrapolating your relationship onto another person, that's probably not a great idea. So I understand what Aggie Dan is saying. I don't agree with him saying that having a sexual relationship post-divorce is a bad idea. A man is a man. We have our needs. You don't want to be walking around here backed up if your hormones raging that way or whatever like that. You don't want that, because I feel like the more you kind of hold that in and you don't let loose a little bit, you're gonna make mistakes, because especially somebody who's not really prone to actually just having women come around, and he can be around women and stuff like that. Once you get that final woman that that woman that finally will be physical or intimate with you or sexual with you, you might overcompensate or whatever, or you might overdo it, and then you start overlooking red flags and things or whatever. So I think you should have some experiences personally, just because if you don't, then you're gonna think that those experiences are really scarce. And you're gonna have that FOMO, you're gonna have the fear of missing out. And so in order to participate in these activities with this one person that's finally gonna allow you to do it, you might accept things that you should not accept. And I don't think that's a good thing. So I don't really agree with him on that. But Aggie Danny, he's saying some nice things here. He's saying some good stuff. So let's see what else he says. He says, take a moment to figure out why you're with her. In my opinion, if you can't see being happy being married to her, you shouldn't be boinking her. No one says you have to keep the relationship sexual. You can honestly say that you're worried sex might be clouding your judgment, and you could dial things back a bit. I'm not getting from JW up here that he feels like the sex is blinding him. I think that might be part of what he's saying or whatever, but I think Aggie Dan's reading into it. I think he's kind of putting in his experience in there, and he can really only talk from his own experience. So I'm not saying that is invalid. I think he's putting more of his own particular experience in when there might be room for JW here to have some of his own experience that might, we don't know what his experience was before he got married. Maybe he was used to having sexual relationships already with women or whatever. It looks like Aggie Dan, I don't think, is one that had a lot of sexual relationships. So his idea of relationships and healthy, interactions and stuff like that is going to be different, and that's fine. We all come from different places. We have different moralities. We have different religious things. We have different ways we were raised. We have different experiences that we had, with our parents and things that we saw. So it might be just different for Aggie Dan. So I can't say that he's wrong, but I don't know that I would go that way. Personally, I don't think that I would go that way to the abstinence route or whatever, because you're going to kind of turn the chick off too, because she's going to be worried like, okay, he got some sexual issues if, I'm walking around here with the big old badunkadunk and he don't want none. I mean, she throwing that thing in your face and you don't want none. She gonna think you might not like girls or something. I don't know. You know? So, this world crazy right now. So you don't know. She might be thrown off by that. So you don't want to lose her by not indulging her. If she's willing to participate with you, you're willing or whatever, I think is fine. I just think that you don't allow it to let you miss red flags. Understand what I'm saying? So let's move on from that here. Check this one out. It says red flags when dating. So I think this lends itself right into what we're talking about here with the big D, right? We going through divorce. So all of us kind of went for the first D, which is dating. All of us kind of went through that and progressed to a point where we got married and end up, with the big D, which is divorcing. So let's see what they're saying here. It says, actually, I don't know. It didn't seem like I caught it, right? But here's the response. He says, what they do to others, they will do to you. This is Stratosphere Girl saying this. Says, been with my soon-to-be ex-husband for over a decade. He walked away from various deep, long friendships and also cut contact to some family members. Especially with the family members, I thought and still think he had good boundaries because they were toxic by all means. Nevertheless, I sometimes was wondering that he was why, maybe she was saying why. I sometimes was wondering why he was so confident doing this. There were almost no regrets, no second thoughts, and not so much self-reflection. With the friendships, while I understood that not everything was meant to last a lifetime, I was surprised how easily he would let the friendship go without trying to fix things or improve the relationships. He left me for his girlfriend and walked away from our marriage. Okay, so this is something that I kind of actually relate to personally because I'm the kind of person like I can walk away pretty easily. For me, it doesn't mean anything for me to walk away. Hey, don't forget to check out my channel, Brazil Living, here on YouTube. This channel is designed for individuals who want to maybe move to Brazil as an expat or maybe stay long term. I want to be able to show you the lifestyle, things to avoid, things to get into, and how to have fun when you're here in Brazil. I also wrote a book. It's called The Brazil Experience. That is available on Amazon. I'll go ahead and put the link in the description below so that you have access to it. But you're going to need great information if you come this way. And so being here 6 years, I have a lot of that information that's going to be able to help you. I also do consultations that can help you as well. So thanks again. Have a great one. Peace. And I really got that directly from my divorce. I remember I got in an accident with my two best friends or whatever. We were coming back from Miami for a weekend or whatever. It was raining or whatever. We hit a little rough patch or whatever like that, spun out or whatever. It was raining, and I think there was a little oil on a highway or something. We spun out or whatever, wrecked my Camry, and I was all, I was like, whatever. So we went back to the car to get my things from it in the lot where it was or whatever. We drove back down there or whatever. And I got my things out or whatever. We turned around and left, and my friend Paris turned to me and he was like, yo, like, you didn't even look back at the car. Like, you didn't even look. It's like you don't care. It's like you're not attached at all to the car. And it hit me right at that moment. I was like, yeah, I kind of was like, I really did just kind of leave it. It just was no longer useful to me, right? So I get what this person is saying. Like, sometimes we can use that to mask some of our traumas. And then we could be not trustworthy of people. And soon as we see like this person, has betrayed our trust, or they're not really riding for us the way that we want to ride, we need them to ride for us, we let them go. There's going to be people that do that. And in this culture that I'm in right now here in Brazil, they don't understand that. They hold on to relationships. They hold on to people. And it's like, you're cold. Women will tell you that, oh, you're so very cold, or Americans are cold. And I think we have the ability to just be like, number one, say no. And the other thing is to kind of just let go. It's like, most of the Americans that they're going to deal with coming here anyway are not staying very long. So they're here on their vacation. They trying to have fun. And if you messing it up, they're going to tell you kick rocks. So they're not going to spend money on you, and you a killjoy. They down here trying to have fun. So, that's not going to work. But I'm the same way. I'm like, you can't kill my peace. I need my peace. I need my peace. I need my happiness or whatever. And if I really like you, I'm going to let you push a little bit further, but I'm going to tell you, at some point I'll be like, look, this is not gonna work for me. This is not gonna work for me, and it ain't gonna work for you. And if it don't work for me, then that means you gotta go. And if you're not willing to go, I'm willing to walk away. And fortunately, that's been actually kind of good. It just surprised. I mean, I think the word I'm looking for is surprisingly. It's actually kind of interesting because that kind of draws women to you in a certain way too. Like, they know that you're not so in love with them that you can just, you'll just accept anything and they'll just run over you. So, this is something I directly got from my divorce, is just not having any regrets, not having second thoughts, just moving on with my life. If this ain't good for me, this ain't good for what I got going on, this ain't the direction I'm trying to move in, you got to go. So there's a part where she says he left her for his girlfriend and walked away from their marriage. So I think he treated the marriage that same way. And so this sticks out to her, right? Now she can look back in hindsight and see like, oh, wow, he was a person that let go easily. But I never thought that he would let me go that easily, right? So she was doing something. She ain't telling us everything that's going on or what part she played or whatever. But she ticked him off in a certain way, or she was rubbing him a certain way, and he wasn't feeling it or whatever. And he did what he does with everybody, even family. He walks away. Now, she says the family was toxic. His family was toxic, and he walked away from them. So I have a feeling that she was a little toxic, too, because he probably just realized, like, if I did this with my family, you definitely is on the chopping block. So she says, I realized that he was an avoidant type, but covers it really well. He was, or is, always scared about being vulnerable because it scared him that people will perceive him as a bad person, not perfect. Oh, the irony. He was not used to resolving conflicts and most of all to invest in relationships because he was the popular guy, always surrounded by friends, tall, handsome. He never had to invest and fight and improve for superficial relationships. His girlfriend started basically moving in with him just weeks after he moved out. He is never alone, never self-reflects because he doesn't have to. Okay, so these are some real interesting points I think that she's bringing up here. I feel like now she's become the psychologist, in the situation now, calling him avoidant. He's the avoidant type and all this right here, right? But I get it, you know what I'm saying? So maybe he is wearing a mask. We had another video about that, talking about, are you wearing a mask? There's a video for that. So if you haven't watched it, go back and watch it all the way through too. Don't stop watching 1 minute and 1.5 minutes. my hours ain't gonna grow like that. It ain't gonna grow. So, nah, but I understand, watch what makes you feel good, right? But yeah, so he's scared about being vulnerable because it scares him if he's not perfect. So maybe, like you say, he's the popular guy. He's expected to move a certain way. He's expected to live a certain way, have a certain type of relationship, maybe a certain type of woman. He's got the thing going on. Maybe he was a jock, maybe he was athletic, all that kind of stuff or whatever. He's a handsome cat. So like she said, maybe he don't have to, it looks to her like he doesn't have to work, because he's surrounded by people all the time. People want to be around him. He's got this way about him that people want to kind of deal with. So maybe to her it looks like it's like that for him, but we don't know, because maybe he fights with some things internally or whatever. Maybe he fights with people wanting to be around him for the qualities that he has, and he realized a lot of those people might be fake. I mean, you just, that's the way it goes a lot of times. It's like people that will hang around you, they're not really there for you. They're there to see if something happens where they can kind of use you as a stepping stone to get to something else. So maybe he does go through that and she just doesn't see it. But, of course, she's jaded now because she's on the wrong end of the stick now. But I think probably when she was getting with him, she didn't feel that. She probably felt a different way. She felt like he was the best thing since sliced bread. But yeah, so I think, she said his girlfriend started moving in with him just weeks after he moved out or whatever. So some people move on pretty quickly, it happens. Some people don't want to be alone. I mean, when my mom passed, my stepmom passed or whatever, my pops moved on. He did get married a year later or whatever. He's still married to the lady, that he married. And it worked out for him. I mean, some people don't want to be alone. Some people are used to having someone around. So this sounds like a guy who's used to having somebody around, And she's saying that he never self-reflects. That doesn't mean that he doesn't self-reflect just because he has people around him. She's just a little bit bitter, I think, because of the, how easy it was for him to kind of move on, I think. And this girl, taking her place, I think that she feels like he took her place or she took her place or whatever. And she did it quite quickly or whatever. So now she's reflecting and going back and looking at all the red flags that she should have caught in the beginning. So I think her comment is right, right? So red flags when dating. So she probably should have noticed that when she was dating, but she was more into whether he was tall and handsome and popular at that point in time, and he liked her. So it was all right. She felt like it's okay, but in the end, when it's all over with, like I always say, people don't change. They go back to who they are at their core. So it sounds like he went back to who he was at his core, and he never changed or anything like that. A lot of times women will get with you thinking that you'll change or whatever like that. People don't change. They just go back to who they were. And so he went back to who he was and did exactly what she should have expected him to do. She just didn't expect it to happen to her. So, sad that happened for her or whatever. She says it used to be bother me more. And now she just feels sadness for him. Nah, you feel sadness because you missed a relationship. You really still want to be with him because you're still writing about it or whatever. Women that moved on and don't want to be with a person and don't care about a person, they don't continue to write about it and get people to understand or, the situation, all that kind of stuff. They just be done with it. They just be done with it and move on. They're not writing stuff. So I don't feel like I don't really feel like she's over it just yet. I know we've been going on a little bit long here, but whatever. But we're going to throw one more in there for us. So so I know I do like 20, 30 minutes or whatever like that. It's cool. So this one says, separated 7 months, and I think my husband has a girlfriend. This is Thelma and Louise Age. No, Thelma and Louise Rage. Okay, I was wondering there's an R in there. I'm like, okay, Thelma and Louise Rage. Okay, so we're going to discuss this, and this is from the divorce Reddit, right? She says, when I left my husband, things got bad. He was alone in a huge house, drinking, talking about super dark things, and just miserable in general. I don't know if it was me leaving. He wanted a divorce too, I'm sure of it. But me not being around probably had him facing some evils he had been able to put out of his mind. Alone, it's harder to do that. I was starting to be legitimately afraid for how dark this was going to get. I'm not emotionally attached to him anymore, but as a human, I don't want him to hurt himself. Recently, he's been friendly, oddly friendly. Not like flirty, get back together friendly, but like, hey, just checking on you, hope things are well friendly. He's responsive when I text. He seems better. Him being better is great, but that means we can safely get this divorce further down the road and have things be a little easier. Okay, so yeah, this can go a couple of ways, right? She said things got bad for him, and that happens for us, right? Guys have feelings too. We have feelings, we have emotions, we feel things. We may not show it all the time because it's difficult for us to, express that without feeling like there might be some backlash later, but we have feelings too. We have emotions and things. So he definitely was feeling it. It just came out in a different way. It came out maybe with him drinking, like she was saying. She said he had this huge house. That could be the thing too. If you're all alone in a really big house or whatever, you can love it when you get it, but after a while, it's like, you start to feel lonely, right? So I think he just he wanted that life together with her or whatever, and it sounds like she's the one who wanted divorce, because she says he wanted a divorce too. I'm sure of it. So she was very sure about the divorce. I don't think he was sure about the divorce. I think she was. She kind of pushed it, and now he's in it. But he wasn't ready to be in it. I don't necessarily believe that from her, just by the way that he reacted from this. So she says she's not emotionally attached to him anymore. She don't want him to hurt himself, but she's not emotionally attached to him. So I got a friend of mine, one of my friends that was in a car accident with me, I was talking about early in this video. That was his question to women when we were getting divorced or whatever, because he was getting divorced at the same time I was. I had two friends that was at the same time. And, that was his question to new women that he was kind of vetting and talking about dating or whatever. It's like, he says, my question to them is, are you emotionally attached to anyone? Because you can ask them if they're dating anyone, if they're seeing anybody, and they can tell you no, but that does not mean that there's not an emotional attachment. So that's just a side note for you guys. That's a good question to ask. What's your emotional attachment like? And they really got to think about that. I feel like, he's being friendly with her. She said he's being oddly friendly. Not like he wants to get back with her or whatever, but he's just checking on her or whatever. But maybe this is part of his healing process. Maybe this is part of what you go through. You go through stages, right? You're going to go through that anger stage. You're going to go through that grief stage. You're going to go through the surprise stage. You're going to go through all of these stages, and then you go through like the empowerment stage where you feel like nothing can stop you. And then you go through a phase where it's like, okay, I'm rebuilding now and all that type of stuff. So maybe he's getting to a place where he's feeling confident or whatever. He's feeling like, okay, maybe I can move on. He might have spotted somebody maybe at the gym or something, or somebody that he worked with or whatever that he might not have thought he had a chance with or something. And maybe there might be some signals that he can get that. So now he's being cordial and friendly because he realizes, like she said, this is going to make the divorce go better because he's better, right? This is going to make the divorce pick up a little bit. So maybe he's thinking the same thing, like, oh, if I be nice to her, maybe it won't be so rough. So I got to figure that he's playing a little chess himself. She says, however, yesterday I noticed an odd transfer of money to our joint account. Then realized it was a few $100s. Then realized it was recurring. And it was transferred from a very female name. I thought about it a minute, and it occurred that maybe he has a girlfriend that's moving in. It's an expensive house and way too big for one person. It's possible this person is a roommate, but he's been in such a better mood. Did we call it or did we call it? Homeboy got a new chick. So, you know how that go. You get the flurries in the stomach and all that stuff or whatever, and you giddy and you bouncing and everything, make you even say nice things to your ex-wife. So my man got the big house or whatever, so of course, it probably was not so hard. Like once the chick kind of came through or whatever, saw the house, like, oh, you in this house all by yourself. This is nice. So we hope that goes well for him, and hope she ain't gold digging or whatever, just trying to get into his lifestyle and all that. But it broke him out of the rut with his ex-wife, the drinking or whatever. Maybe that slowed down or whatever. Maybe it got the ship right a little bit. It ain't rocking back and forth no more. And maybe now he's like, yo, let me cut these onions on and get up out of here. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking that's pretty good, So I'm hoping that he's happy and he's moving that way. She said they've been separated 7 months or whatever. It's about time for him to kind of come out the funk and keep on moving. So, if you're in this situation or whatever, sometimes it might be good to find somebody. It might be hard because you're afraid that, like, I'm just going through this breakup. If I get with somebody and that goes bad and now I'm dealing with 2 breakups, yeah, that can happen. I can understand why you'd be, apprehensive about doing that. But there's no way to cure a broken heart like new love. There's no way, better than that. So once you got new love, you're going to have a pickup in your step. It's kind of like me with new money. So once that new money come in, it's like, woo, I'm ready to go. So I'm going to let y'all go. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Let me know if you're going through a similar situation or you got things to say about these situations here that we discussed today. We'll be back with another video here pretty soon. I will holler at you. It's the Big D from the Big D Show, Daily Divorce News. Have a great one. Peace.
Can a man make mistakes? Is he eligible for redemption? Will it really hurt your spirit to make this one exception? If I did you wrong, am I wrong for doing you wrong? If we get back on and make a promise to get along, would you take me back? My bad, I'm back. Would you take me back? My bad, I'm back.